When I was a child, I remember watching my grandmother move through the house with a quiet authority, a small pout of salt in her hand. She would press a little in the doorway, sprinkle some near the stove, tuck it in the corners where shadows gathered. She never said it was magic, but she told me it was wisdom. And wisdom has a way of outlasting science, outshining proof. Salt, she would say, does not only season your food, it seasons your spirit. It preserves your peace. It keeps away, but does not belong. I stand before you today, not to speak of superstition, but to remind you that sometimes the simplest things carry the heaviest truths. Salt in your home is more than a mineral. It is a reminder to cleanse, to protect, to honor the sacredness of where you dwell. The doorway is where life enters and where burdens can creep in. To place salt there is to declare that not everything is welcome. In this world, not every voice deserves a seat at your table. Not every presence deserves a place in your heart. Salt at the door is a whisper to the universe. Peace may come in, chaos must remain out. When you guard your threshold, you guard your soul. There is a truth we all must come to know, that the door of our home is more than wood and hinges, more than lock and key. It is the line between the sacred and the profane, the sanctuary and the storm. Too often, we allow anything to cross that line, without discernment, without pause. We open wide, hoping for kindness, but sometimes what enters is envy dressed in silk, or bitterness wearing a friendly smile. To place salt at the doorway is to rise up and say, I have learned from my wounds. I have learned from my weary nights. I will no longer invite destruction into my home, disguised as companionship. The doorway is the first place your foot touches after wandering in a world that can be cruel. Think of all the doorways you have crossed in your life, those that opened into opportunity and those that lured you into despair. Each one left its mark. Each one taught you how to say yes with wisdom, how to say no with courage. Salt at the door is the emblem of that lesson. It is the gentle but firm reminder that not every knock deserves an answer. Not every invitation deserves acceptance. And if you are to stand tall in this world, if you are to keep the dignity of your spirit intact, you must learn to choose what crosses your threshold. The ancients knew this. They scattered salt not only to preserve the harvest, but to preserve the home. They believed salt purified what it touched, drove out the unseen, and held off corruption. Whether you believe in their rituals or not, the wisdom remains. Corruption in its many forms will always seek entry. It may not come as fire and fury. Sometimes it slips in as a whisper of doubt, a seed of jealousy, a smile that hides contempt. And if you do not guard your door, your house becomes its dwelling place. There comes a time when you must be the keeper of your own threshold. You must say, I welcome joy, but I will not house malice. I welcome laughter, but I will not serve bitterness. I welcome truth, but I will not bow to deceit. That is what salt at the doorway means. It is more than grains upon the floor. It is a declaration written in the language of resilience. It is saying to the world, my home is a place of healing, not a battlefield. My home is a place of rest, not unrest. My home is a place of love, not invasion. I have seen homes where people forgot this truth. They allowed every burden to walk in, every anger to sit at the table, every envy to rest in the guest room. Soon the walls groaned, the air thickened, and the house became weary. But I have also seen homes where people guarded their doors, where peace was cherished, where laughter. So when I tell you to put salt at your doorway, I am not merely asking you to follow an old tradition. I am inviting you to remember your worth. I am urging you to honor the sacredness of your home, to recognize that not everything belongs inside. And as you place that salt, let it remind you that you too are a doorway. Your spirit is a threshold, your heart a home. Guard it with the same care, with the same reverence. Let peace enter and keep chaos outside. And when you step across that salted threshold, may you feel the quiet assurance that this is your place, your sanctuary, your circle of safety. May you know that you have chosen wisely what to let in and bravely what to keep out. For the door you guard today will determine the life you live tomorrow. The kitchen, the heart of the home, is where nourishment begins. Salt in that place reminds us that what feeds us should not only fill the belly, but also uplift the spirit. In times when resources are scarce, and in times when abundance overflows, salt has always been the keeper of preservation. To put salt in the kitchen is to bless the food with gratitude, to preserve not only flavor, but also family bonds. The kitchen is not simply a room of fire and pans. It is a sanctuary where survival is transformed into love. There, the scent of bread rising is not only yeast and flour, but hope swelling against the weight of hunger. The pot simmering on the stove carries more than broth and spices. It carries the echoes of ancestors who taught us that feeding one another is a sacred act. To place salt in the kitchen is to stand with those ancestors and say, I will continue the work you began. I will not let this flame of care go out. Salt in the kitchen is the reminder that food is not only for the and preservation. Oh, how salt has preserved us. In times when harvest was meager, when winter stretched long and merciless, salt kept the food from spoiling. It carried families through nights of uncertainty. It kept hunger at bay. It saved what otherwise would have been lost. Even now, when many have plenty, the lesson of preservation remains. For what good is abundance if it is wasted? What good is harvest if it does not feed tomorrow? Salt in the kitchen speaks of foresight, of stewardship, of respect for the gifts we are given. When you sprinkle salt in the kitchen, you are making a covenant with gratitude. You are saying that this meal, whether rich or simple, is holy. You are saying that those who eat here are worthy of joy, worthy of health, worthy of care. Salt in the kitchen becomes more than a seasoning. It becomes a prayer whispered with every stir of the spoon, every plate set on the table, every bite taken in thankfulness. So let your kitchen be a place where food is not only cooked but consecrated. Let the salt that rests there remind you that preservation is not only about the food you save, but about the love you pass forward. For when the kitchen is filled with gratitude, when the meals are prepared with intention, then no matter how humble the table, the feast is always abundant. And when you rise from that table, you will know that what has filled you is not just sustenance, but life itself. It is in the corners, the hidden places, where dust gathers and where silence can turn heavy. Salt placed there is a declaration that even the forgotten parts of our lives deserve light. We must tend to the corners of our own souls, where regrets lie, where fears crouch, Salt in the corners reminds us to cleanse those hidden spaces, to invite honesty where secrets once lived, to let light flood in. The corners of a home are off. Salt in the corners is a promise to ourselves that nothing will be left unattended. It is the reminder that even silence can be heavy if left unchecked, that even the unseen has power over us if ignored. When we scatter salt into those quiet places, we are saying, I will not let fear make its home here. I will not let regret fester in the shadows. I will not let secrets grow so large they suffocate me. We are calling light into the darkness, courage into the silence, healing into the hidden. I have walked into houses where the rooms shone, where the windows sparkled, but the corners were filled with neglect. And though the house seemed beautiful, there was something unsettled in the air. And I have walked into homes where every corner had been tended, where care had been taken, even in the smallest, most forgotten places, and the whole house breathed in harmony. So it is with our lives. We may speak eloquently in public, smile with grace before strangers, but if we have not faced the corners of our own hearts, if we have not brought truth into our hidden places, the soul remains restless. Salt in the corners is more than a ritual. It is an invitation to honesty. It calls us to sweep out the bitterness we tried to ignore, to shake loose the cobwebs of self-doubt, to face the shadows of our past with steady hands. It teaches us that cleansing is not just for what is visible, but for what is buried deep. And in that cleansing, there is freedom. So when you place salt in the corners of your home, let it also be a vow that you will not leave any part of your soul unattended. Let it be the sign that you are willing to bring light into the dark, that you will make space for truth in every corner of your being. For only when the corners are tended can the whole house stand strong, and only when the hidden is healed can the soul be truly free. Sleep is salt by the bedside becomes a small sentinel, a quiet keeper of boundaries. It whispers, here, in this space, there will be no intrusion. Here, the troubles of the day shall not spill into the night. Here, the body may rest, the mind may soften, the soul may breathe. It is not the salt itself that works the miracle, but the meaning it carries. It is the discipline of creating space for healing, the reverence of declaring that this time, this stillness belongs to you. When I think of salt by the bed, I think of all the nights when sleep felt like a luxury denied, when worry sat at the edge of the mattress like an unwelcome guest. I think of the people who rise too soon and fall too late, their bodies grinding forward while their spirits fall behind. I think of how much strength we lose by refusing to honor our rest, how much joy slips away when we do not guard our quiet hours. Salt by the bed is a covenant we make with ourselves, that we will not treat rest as weakness, that we will not belittle sleep as wasted time, but that we will claim it as the birthplace of clarity, of strength, of wholeness. The world will always tell you to move faster, to do more, to give until you are emptied out. But the wise know that power is not only found in the storm, it is also found in the stillness after. The warrior sharpens the blade in silence. The healer restores their touch in quiet. The dreamer gathers visions in the hush of midnight. Salt at your bedside is a symbol of that hush, a reminder that peace is not earned, it is chosen. So when you lay your head tonight, Let that small grain of salt remind you that your body is worthy of renewal. Your mind is worthy of release. Your spirit is worthy of peace. And may your rest be guarded. There is something humbling about looking down at your palms and seeing grains of salt resting there, tiny crystals, glistening like fragments of Earth's memory, resting in the same hands that have carried burdens, lifted loved ones, and wiped tears from weary eyes. Those hands have known labor and tenderness, giving and receiving, holding on and letting go. And when salt touches them, it feels as though the earth itself is bearing witness to your story. For salt has always carried weight beyond its size. It has bought empires, sealed agreements, and marked the difference between survival and loss. It is humble, yes, but it has always been mighty. And so are you. Salt in your hands is a reminder that your worth is not tied to applause or validation, not defined by what the world takes notice of. Your value is like that grain, constant, essential, resilient. Storms may come, and seasons may strip you bare, but like salt, your essence remains. You do not lose who you are simply because others fail to see it. You do not become less precious because someone treats you as common. Just as salt never surrenders its flavor, you too cannot surrender your truth. Holding salt teaches us also of sacrifice. For salt in the ancient world was poured out to sanctify, to bless, to seal promises made with sincerity. And so it is with your own life. The sacrifices you have made, the sleepless nights, the quiet endurance, the giving of yourself when little was left, are not wasted. They are the salt of your story, the seasoning of your journey, the proof of your resilience. Your struggles may have been overlooked, but they were never meaningless. They have flavored your strength. They have preserved your spirit. And salt in your hands is covenant, a silent vow to yourself. It says you will no longer doubt your worth. So let that salt rest in your hands and let it teach you this truth. No one and nothing can strip you of your essence. You are whole. You are worthy. You are here, carrying within you both the fragility of a grain and the strength of the sea. And may that knowledge season your steps, preserve your dignity, and remind you always that your worth is eternal. And so, my friends, we have walked together through the doorway. We have stood in the kitchen. We have bent to the corners. We have rested by the bedside. And we have held salt in our own hands. Each place has whispered its truth. Each grain has carried its lesson. Salt is not only a mineral of the earth, it is a reminder of spirit, of dignity, of the power we hold to guard, to preserve, to cleanse, to heal, and to endure. A house becomes a home, not by its walls, but by the intention of those who live within it. And a life becomes worthy, not by chance, but by the choices we make to honor ourselves and those we love. So let us remember to guard what enters, to bless what feeds, to cleanse what hides, to protect what rests, and to cherish who we are. In these simple acts, we write a sacred story, one that no storm can erase and no shadow can diminish. May the salt you place in your home also live in your heart, preserving your peace, protecting your spirit, and reminding you always of your unshakable worth. Good luck on your journey, and thank you.